Well, hi guys. I want to talk a little bit about the 1850 here. Now, I've had an issue with this tractor from day one that I haven't resolved yet. But I think I know what the problem is now. Since I've got this, the temperature gauge has never worked. And it's not from the lack of trying. Okay? It has a new sending unit in it. It has had a new wire run from the sending unit to the gauge. The gauge, I didn't know worked or not. It's had another gauge that I know works. Okay? With the new sending unit, a new wire, the new gauge, got power, you run it, the gauge just barely comes up. So, that brings me to what I think is the problem. I don't think there's a thermostat in this tractor. Because I've worked it hard and that temperature gauge has never come up more than from here to here. Just kind of that little signifying that it's got power. Like I said, probe was changed. Well, wire was run to the gauge. It was checked. So all it would do is just barely come up a little. Put the new sending unit in it. Same thing. Put the jumper wire on it. Same thing. Change the gauge. Same thing. Which leads me to finally come to the conclusion, I don't think there's a thermostat in it, and if there is one, it's stuck open. And it's not letting it build temperature. I just had this thing out, took it a drive around the field, and it never come up just more than that little bit on the gauge. But I've been looking for the past 3 weeks for a thermostat for this. I went to McHenry's, and they can't get one. They don't have one, cannot get one. They called some of the people they deal with to get parts from, and they can't get them either. I've done the eBay thing, did the Amazon thing, and there are so many thermostats listed for a 354, it's unbelievable. But this is an early 354 because it has what they call the old style block, meaning the front engine mount is mounted to where it goes around the crankshaft. And it's just a T-bracket going down to the front frame. Later version has ears, but this one does not have it. So, knowing that, I get into my book. It says the thermostat's 170 degrees. And I have found thermostats that are 160, 170, 180, which any of the three will work. 160 is used in the southern climate where it's hot. Hot. 170 is kind of through the Midwest. 160 is used south. 170 is used here. 180 is for the northern climate where it's operating in colder conditions. Okay, Well, in my search, I discovered there are 3 sizes listed as diameter, outside diameter. From 2.75, 2.125, 2.195 for the actual diameter. And doing all this looking, I discovered there's, flat, thin. Then there are some that are flat that's got a rolled edge that's 1/8, 3/16 in that roll. And none of them, all of them said 354. Well, went to McHenry's. They've got an engine within 2,000 serial numbers of this engine. So I pulled the housing off and came up with this thermostat. Now mine's got the same block on the front, same thermostat housing, same water pump. And got this out to know what it is. Measured it. Started looking in the books again, here, there, and everywhere. Making phone calls. A lot of places don't even list Oliver line as replacement parts other than rebuild kits or water pump. They don't list the thermostat. But after years of working on a lot of different stuff, I kept looking at this thermostat thinking, I've seen this before. Or one very much like it. And the more I got to thinking about it, went to the parts store. The first try was a 383 Magnum 400 Chrysler, big block. I had it, and it was the smaller thermostat. So I got to thinking, well, do you have one for a 426 Hemi? Looks up, yeah. This is for a 1968 Dodge Charger with a 426 Hemi. This is a 170 degree thermostat. This is 180. It's within 3 thousandths outside to outside diameter. This one fit a little sloppy in the housing. And all that holds this in the housing is a snap ring on the back side. So I'm pretty sure that'll fit in there. Where this one has a weep cut through it to bypass. This has the button, little brass button to let air and let it bypass some. Now what I was finding online for this, which I didn't know if it was even the right thing, was anywhere from 28 to $92 for this thermostat. I don't even know if that was the right one, but with this in hand, comparing it to this one, and this one being $13, guess what I'm going to use? Now, the part number, this is a Duralast from AutoZone, and the part number is 15478. You can see that there, 15478. And this is what's going to go in the 1850. Like I say, after you've worked on enough different older stuff, you start remembering this kind of stuff. You know, hey, I think, you know. So that's what's going to happen. Sheet metal's going to come off, hood, muffler, everything's coming off, and I'm getting into that thermostat housing this week sometime. Now that I have a thermostat that will fit it. It may not be the exact book part number, but, and I do have the AGCO part number for this, and no matter where I look, it just, not available, not available, not available. Perkins dealers, talked to two of those, one in northern Kentucky, one in northern Ohio. This engine, as a 354, is not really in their books. The 354 came out in 61. This is a 65 model tractor. 1970, 71-ish, right in that time frame, they changed their engine coding number system. And they really don't have any information on these old engines, like this one. So it makes it a little difficult. And with AGCO being AGCO like it is now, they're not so much interested in parts for old equipment. In fact, if you go to White AGCO's parts book to look up stuff, they got white planters and white combines listed, and that's it. Oh. But we have one. A Duralast thermostat from AutoZone, and it's for a 69 Dodge Charger 426 Hemi. And that's what's going to go into it. And the 180-degree thermostat is going to work just fine because in thermostats, it's kind of an industry standard plus or minus 5 degrees. So if it opens up at 175, no big deal. 185, well, it's getting a little warm, but it's still not out of range, technically. But we have a thermostat, which is going to be better than it not having one, which is, I'm pretty sure it doesn't by the way it's running. And that also leads to a problem of the hydropower cooler, because if this doesn't have a thermostat in it, then it's not going to force water down through these cooling lines, you know, to it and back, like it would when the thermostat is closed. It's going to force fluid through the hose to the cooler and back up. If it doesn't have one, it's not going to get that flow. So this might be part of the hydropower's problem all along. So it's in that, it's got to be looked into. At any rate, guys, in the coming week, I'm going to be tearing into it, so videos coming on that. But at any rate, it's time to call it a day. So we'll see you next time, and as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And like I say, if you have an 1850 and need a thermostat and can't find one, 1969 Charger 426 Hemi is the thermostat you want for one of these old style engines. This is a 65 model tractor. Newer ones may be different from this, but I know this one will fit in here. So Just remember that, guys. And we'll see you next time. And as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.